Welcome to Philly Fight World, where the fists fly, stories matter, and the heart of boxing beats louder than ever. We're not just another podcast. Nah, we're building a movement. Our mission? To be one of the best boxing podcasts in America, not by chasing clout, but by celebrating the real ones. We bring fans and fighters together, shining light on the journey, from the underground gyms to the world title stage. Whether it's a rising prospect or a seasoned champ, we share the blood, sweat, and sacrifice that defines this sport. We give a mic to the warriors and a platform to the passion. This isn't just boxing talk. This is culture. This is community. This is Philly Fight World. And always remember, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and get back up. That's what boxing teaches us. That's what life demands of us. And that's exactly what we're about. Philly Fight World, where the gloves never drop and the stories never stop. Welcome to Philly Fight World.
Fighting pride of Omaha, Nebraska, USA, and no Ring Magazine, an undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Terence Crawford.
Here we are. Welcome to Philly Fight World. There's fight news, there's fight analysis. This is Philly Fight World, none other than your hosts, Sully and Blake Anthony themselves, bringing it to you, giving you what you need tonight. And you saw the little pre-intro to the after the intro or the post-intro to the intro. Bud Crawford, champion, underdog. He ain't fighting nobody. He ain't did nothing. Canelo's a champion. Canelo's overpower him. He'll muscle him. He'll beat him. He'll pound him. He'll pulverize him. What did they say in Rocky? He'll knock him into tomorrow rock. And I don't think that's what happened. Sully, how are you doing this evening?
What a performance. What a performance. What a performance, man. Great. I don't want to say a great fight, but just a great performance. Bud does it again. Steps up. Like you said, underestimated, too small, whatever, all the narratives that went with it. He once again steps up, rises to the occasion, and he comes up with the win. Easy win, not just the win. I mean, he just made it look easy. Hats off to him. I mean, we looked at one of the great fighters of our time. I mean, me, I'm, born in the 70s, so I seen the end of Ali, the end of that era, the Ali, the Frazier, going into the Holmes,
Big shout out to
Hagler,
Hagler,
Hagler, Leonard.
Yep.
So on, we had these icon names, and then moving into the Floyds and that whole different era, and of course Floyd was the best of his era. And then right afterwards, you step into what we have now, Crawford. And he's definitely this era best pound for pound, best fighter. I mean, it's not a question now. I mean, even if it was a question after he beat Spence, the man just moved up 2-3 weight classes and beat a champion. Not just beat him.
Hall of Famer, sir.
Hall of Fame champion, and not just beat him, but beat him easily. And so, watching that fight and as the clip that you just showed, hearing the decision, I'm like, where did I feel this again in boxing? And it wasn't too far away. It was just exactly how I felt when he beat Spence. it was the conclusion of that when I said, you know what? He finally got his due. And if it wasn't during that Spence fight, after the Spence fight that he got his due, he definitely has his due now. And I think me and you spoke, uh, in the past about it. When he wins this fight, because we both picked him to win this fight. What does he do? And if he wants to ride into the sunset, which I said it then, I believe he deserved it. He can. I don't want to see him fight again. I don't want to see him fight again. I'm a big, I'm a Bud fan. I love the way he fights, but he doesn't have to do anything else, and I don't want his legacy to be tarnished if he decides to fight again and he loses. You know, he's earned to retire and to walk off, what I mean? Because he's the best of his era, and he did it the way he wanted to, Boxing, the promoters, for years they kept this man down, kept this man from getting those big money fights, and he finally got two of the biggest fights in this last decade, and he walked through them. He walked through those champions, walked through the opponents, and he won. So hats off to him. Great, great fight. Outboxed Canelo. From round one to round 12, just outclassed them, outboxed them. Um, took Canelo shots. Canelo didn't get too many chances at big shots, but he took a couple big shots and gave his own. And Canelo had no answer for it. Absolutely none. And at one point, it looked like at a couple points, it looked like he wanted to walk out the ring, really. Especially that 12th round. It looked like he wanted to go down. It looked like he was about to go down anyway. But great performance by Bud. Class. I mean, he is the definition of a boxer. And he's good. If you had any doubt about him, he answered it because he's very good, and he showed it. He showed it. When you move up 2 to 3 weight classes and beat a guy and beat the champion like he just did, come on, man. Come on, man. And I know you got a lot to say, but you know,
Over
you
biting my
just go
tongue. No,
ahead.
no, I'm biting my tongue, but
Yeah,
I want you to say your piece.
yeah, you go ahead. But like I said, we both thought he was going to win. Um, I think earlier today, as the more I thought about the fight, I said, you know what? It's not even going to be close. It's not even going to be close. I heard some chatter about Canelo's training camp, and I heard some chatter about how he was flat-footed. And I think I went back and watched his last fight, and he was flat-footed. He didn't know how to cut the ring off, and he surely didn't know how to cut the ring off this fight. And so Bud did his thing, moved, fought when he wanted to, and got out when he wanted to, and moved when he wanted to. He did everything that he wanted to do. He dictated that fight, and scored. That's who I was thinking about. Canelo's last fight when he fought
Mm.
Skull. Um, I mean, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. He's still flat-footed. Great champions. We talked about it earlier. Uh, over 60 fights, a heck of an amateur career. You could really see that he's at the end of his end of the line. He's still a dangerous fighter though. No disrespect to Bud. Canelo is still a dangerous fighter. He has power, but skill wise, not even on the same level. No way on the same level as Bud. No jab. He just comes in, trying to knock you out. And smart fighters aren't going to let you do that to them. And Bud is definitely one of the best, definitely smart, and one of the best fighters out there. So Hands off to him. I enjoyed the fight. I don't want to see him fight again. Hope he gets that paycheck, walks into the sunset, man, and say, I did it my way. And that's it, man. That is it. That is it, man.
That's what you got for me.
That's all I got for you, man. I'm just, like I said, I'm happy for him, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt. We had that from the jump street. I never withered, never changed. My answer since Spence, my answer never changed. All right, so like I said, I got a lot because I really sat back and watched everything, and I'm gonna try to put it in perspective because everybody will see when I say it, you'll see what I'm talking about. So first off, let me say from the beginning, a boxer beats a puncher. We'll stay with that. Here's another example. So let me start because I don't want to miss pieces. So I'm gonna start from the beginning of what I saw. Like I said, I have aspects of things because I am an athlete or ex-athlete. I know how the body works and things does like that. So the first thing I saw, and you pay attention to commentary in the fights and along with what you see, everybody kept saying is Canelo looks bigger. They said, but not by much. Crawford looks good, but Canelo looks bigger. The comment that you got to pay attention to what he said Canelo looks significantly different than he did the night before making the weigh-in. He's definitely filled out. I don't know if you remember hearing that comment. He said that near the beginning of the fight. Blake, why do you bring that up? I bring it up because when you fluctuate up and down in your weight, it messes with you. It messes with your speed, and it messes with you. And Canelo looks significantly slower than Crawford in this fight. And Crawford is the older fighter. What, by 2 years? I think something like that. 2 years older. Canelo's just did look a step behind. He's trying to catch up to Crawford this entire fight. You watched Canelo try every aspect of this fight to try to get some type of upper hand on Crawford, and he could not. He could not. So I started listening to the corners and the advice that they were given to him. I thought the significant part that changed the rhythm of the game, because anybody who's a boxer or been watching fighters know what I mean by being rhythmic. In boxing, it's all about a rhythm. And the best advice I heard Crawford's corner give him was the double tap and then a jab right after it. He did that the entire fight, and it messed with Canelo the entire fight. It worked all night long. If you remember what I mean, he would tap him twice and then hit him again. He would get one through or get an uppercut in or a cross in. He did that the whole fight. As you mentioned earlier, Canelo didn't do any of that. He wasn't living in any jams. He just kept trying to give those overhand rights or give a type of uppercut. But I thought that was a significant change in the fight. And ultimately, Crawford was able to control the tempo of the fight. So he can counterpunch against the ropes. What did Crawford do? Didn't take the cheese. He took his distance and continued with the game plan. Stood in the box, delivered some blows. Once he got that first shot, what was it in like the third round or something like that, where Canelo actually gave him a shot and he tested the power. We talked about this off air where he said Canelo fought the gentleman where he said he hit the hardest, and you could tell how hard somebody can hit. You want that smoke or you don't want that smoke. Crawford got hit by Canelo, and he wasn't scaring him at all. Everybody mentioned it several times. He took a shot. It's not phasing, Bud. So when you know in your head that this guy is giving you all he got and it's not hurting you, there's really no reason to back up. And Crawford didn't back up. You saw Crawford's corner tell him, he was like, hey, you don't need to go in there and go pound for pound slugging with him. Just keep boxing him. You're frustrating the shit out of him because he can't hit you. And he's right. But Bud, being Bud, the competitor he is, he wants to win this match without anybody able to say anything. Oh, he got on the bike all around. No, he didn't. He stood right in the box and gave blow for blow. And again, Canelo couldn't match. Couldn't match in any aspect. And Crawford looked like the better fighter. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. Crawford was the better in shape. Crawford had the better endurance. Crawford had the better game plan. Crawford won on every aspect of this fight. Unless somebody sees anything different, that's what I saw. And you saw Canelo near the end never change anything. When he got past like the seventh round, I think they tried to say the momentum shifted around the 6th, whatever. And then Crawford, even in the post interview, said, yeah, he had to take back the momentum of that fight and keep putting the gas on. Canelo, to me, if you watch the corner, his corner kept telling him, breathe, which tells me Canelo was, I don't know, out of shape. Wasn't prepared to move as much to fight. Crawford didn't think, and Crawford was older, was going to stand there and let him throw blows. I don't know, but I kept watching that over and over. They kept telling him to concentrate on his breathing because, as the Max Kellerman kept saying, Crawford kept capitalizing on the times Canelo wanted to take a rest. When Canelo would come in with his flurries, Crawford pushed the issue, pushed forward. He didn't give him a chance to sit back and reengage his thought. He never had a chance to get into rhythm to do what Canelo likes to do. He didn't give him any chance of doing that. And everybody said, Crawford's a crafty fighter. He's a great boxer. He can find ways to win. You just watched it. I just watched it again when he got into the and he fought. I think Crawford. I think what you're saying, Sully, when Crawford gets better when his competition is better. There's a lot of people that lower. He raises his level of competitiveness against who he's fighting. And you saw him. Didn't look like he was 38 years old. Didn't look like he was out of shape. Didn't look like he was fazed by punches. He just didn't look. He looked healthy and rejuvenated and ready to fight in this entire fight till it went the distance. Nothing changed with Crawford the entire fight. You saw multiple changes with Canelo going to the headbutt, trying to grab him, put his weight on. You saw a man that was desperate. And you got to watch body language in fights. You saw a man that was desperate, that couldn't do what he wanted to do to the fighter. So he tried different avenues to do it. Grabbing him, lifting him up, started headbutting, got desperate, just started throwing wide shots. It was just, he couldn't counterpunch. I don't think Canelo really counterpunched that much in that game or wasn't given much of an opportunity, but Crawford dominated this fight from start to beginning, in my opinion. He controlled the pace and never let off the gas. And that's just pretty much what I got. Now, I think I got everything in there from what I watching that fight. And like I said, you saw Canelo get desperate because he knew in his head he couldn't keep up with Crawford, and he knew he was behind on the cards.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I noticed in that fight too, Crawford is a switch hitter. He'll come out orthodox, he'll come out southpaw. That fight, he fought all southpaw. And Canelo, he has in the past had problems fighting southpaw. So, and it showed tonight. He didn't have any answer. He started, early in that fight, he started throwing that. It was like a left hook. He was catching Bud with, but it wasn't doing any damage at all. And orthodox, really when you fighting a southpaw, you really want to shoot that straight right hand, which he tried a few times, and he hit Bud a few times with it, but Bud was just, his defense was just on point, man. He moved well tonight. He moved when he wanted to move. He engaged when he wanted to engage, and then he moved when he wanted to. And Canelo had problems with it. You could see him trying to cut off the ring a little bit.
Didn't matter.
But, yeah, it didn't matter because once he did, I guess, cut the ring off, then he had to set up. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let me chase you down. But then, okay, now I got you. Let me set up now. And when he started setting up, well, we're just tagging him. And then he'll move again. Keep turning him. He kept turning him, man. And so he had no answer. I mean, he always had problems with southpaws. It continues. And so, like I said, it's just a master class by Bud, man. You can just tell they're just on two different levels when it comes to boxing. And like you pointed out, his corner was telling him to tap, tap, tap. He was just touching him, keeping him uncomfortable, touching him.
I think the exact direction his instructions were to tap his glove. I think that's what they said. Tap his glove, double tap his glove, and then come in with a shot. And he did that. And he would get one through. Every so often. Yep.
Frustrating him. That's frustrating when somebody keeps doing that, tagging you, and you can't really get set. You keep getting hit, like you said, tapping your glove and then coming in and tapping and then hitting you with a punch. Throws your rhythm off. It throws the rhythm off. And those last few rounds, uh, like you was talking about, when Bud kind of bit down and stayed in that pocket,
Mhm.
he looked like he was, but Canelo looked like he was about to go a few times.
Started
He didn't
grabbing.
even look like he was. Yeah, he didn't look like he even wanted
Saw
to be in there.
desperation. You saw something you ain't
Yeah,
seen. It. Saw desperation.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
the other part, I haven't watched. Like I can't say that I'm an expert on watching Canelo. I've watched a few fights, but I kept finding it odd. He would do like this thing where he was walking to the corner. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? You saw that, right? Where he did that like
Yeah.
several times. I'm like, bro, what
Like
is that? What are you doing?
like he's about to walk off. It's like he's about to walk off and walk out the ring. But I think he was just frustrated at that point.
Yeah,
He was frustrated. He was fluttered. Like you can't do nothing. You losing, and you trying to
can't do
press,
nothing. You can't do nothing.
and he was fluttered. And I seen him do that against in that Bivol fight. I've seen him do it a couple times, but when Bivol was beating him, he kind of stepped to the side and like he trying to regain himself. I don't know what. When he starts doing that, he's in trouble, and he was definitely in trouble the whole night. And I mean, masterful body, like you said earlier. I mean, and that's the word that the old saying. A, a boxer will be a slugger, a fighter, a brawler. So
Call it whatever you want to call it.
he just whatever you want to call it, but he just his boxing skills is just like it's
It's next
it's
level.
unmatched. Yeah, it's next level, man, and it's levels to boxing, and he's just on a whole nother level than a lot of other boxers, man. It's not too many boxers fighting that has the know-how and the skill that he has, man. So great performance, man. The only thing I'm gonna tell you, and I think you might agree with this one.
Go ahead.
The only thing that I did not like about this fight was the telecast. I'm not a big Max Kellerman fan. I'm not a big fan of his. But they had Max. I did like Andre Ward. I did like his perspective, his insight on the fight, of course. He always gives good insight. But I think the third, I don't know the gentleman's name, but the third voice was the guy from the UFC. He does the UFC fights. He does the play-by-play. Well, we mixed. Well, we didn't have our guy there this time, man. I got JL, man. That kind of upset me a little bit, man. A fight like this,
That
you would think they would have a
Lampley.
classic telecast to play by play and as our man JL says, punch by punch. You know, they didn't. I didn't like the telecast. I didn't
You
like that at
you
all.
missed the opportunity. The lineup, the play-by-play was John Anik, analyst Max Kellerman, analyst Andre Ward, of course Michael Buffer. Announcer was Joe Martinez. Desk host Mario Lopez. I didn't like that. It was only because of the Mexican connection. Desk analysis, of course, Tarver, Mark Kringle, and Mike Coppinger.
Yeah, I
With
think they
Jim
dropped the
Gray.
ball.
You dropped the big ball. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
know you probably couldn't get Lampley, but sure, Max Kellerman doesn't look or act like Jim Lampley.
not at all, man. Not at all. And even the after the fight, the interviews. Max Kellerman doing the interviews. I did
Awful.
not like the
Awful.
question.
He lost. He
Oh,
lost train of thought several times. He didn't know what to ask. He
he
didn't know what to
didn't know
ask.
what to ask, man. Like, how don't you have that written down? Okay, if Bud wins, this is what I'm going to ask him.
Well, you watched
If
the whole fight.
Canelo wins, and you watch the whole fight, exactly, and you watch the whole fight, and you could come up with. I think he might have asked both of them 2 or 3 questions, and the questions that he asked was,
You want to fight again?
you gonna fight again? I think that was the first question he asked him. Are you gonna fight again? Is this it? mean, what do you expect him to say in a moment like that? You know what I'm saying? He done the greatest fight that he's fought. No, I'm sorry, the greatest win that he's got, in his career. Hats off to him. And that's the first question you ask him is if he's going to fight again. Come on, man. Let the
That's the,
man enjoy
that's,
this
that's
night.
the last question, if you ask it.
Yeah, that's if that's a question you're gonna ask him, make that the last one. Don't make that one of the first questions you
Anybody
ask
in
him.
broadcasting, you want to set up, you want to leave the cliffhanger at the end. You leave the cliffhanger at the
Right.
end.
And he did he asked the same exact question to Canelo about is this gonna be his last fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. I mean, you would think he would be more prepared to ask questions than that. But like I said, that's the only part of the fight that I didn't like. Um, like I said, I'm not a big Max fan anyway, but they should have they could have did a better job. Even Tarver, they could have had Tarver. I like Andre Ward. I like him, and you need that person who, you need a ex boxer there
Yeah, you
to
got to
get
have
their
that.
insight on it. Yeah, and I like Andre Ward. But I think there could have been room for Tarver in there as well. But I and the UF and I think Dana White and the UFC connection with the other guy. Um, I think that probably how that worked out. But I didn't like him. Every time I hear his voice, I'm thinking UFC.
Yeah.
And so but hats off to Bud, man. Great fight. I mean, hey, it's his night. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. Um, but I mean, masterful job he did. I mean, what can you say? What can you say? If he had some naysayers, I mean, I think everybody at this time, feel the same way. Hey, he's one of the best. What can you say, man? And I like that how he had walked away with all those belts on him, man.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. I'd have liked to see him doing a little better. Had one around his neck. We talked about that before. You know what I mean? Had one on the shoulder, then the waist, then carry one. I want to see that. But the classic Mike Tyson,
That's
Floyd Mayweather
that's scary one.
pose. Yeah, they should have did him right with that. You know what I mean? But he got him. Hey, hats off to him, man. I mean,
Are
hey,
you not entertained?
what more?
Are you not entertained?
What more can you want? You know what I'm saying? There's really no other fight out there for him.
You're not this trust me, I got like a lot of these next fights coming up, but it ain't gonna be this. Like I said, I'm not
Yeah,
going to talk about. I'm not even going to talk about them because it's about. We'll talk about that next time because it's Crawford's night
yeah.
tonight.
That's the
It's
next
Crawford.
episode.
Yeah, this is Crawford's night tonight, but you ain't gonna get this. I mean, like I said, I said off air. I said you're gonna. I think this is gonna water down a lot of fights after this. That's all I'll say about that. But I'm glad. I'm glad they pointed out that Canelo Alvarez. We both said this. True boxing fans don't give a shit if you fight the best fighters and you lose. We don't lose any respect for you. We don't, because we want to see guys fight their best in their eras. We want to see that. And this
Yep.
ducking and dodging, paycheck, they pointed out what they call it, money grab fights, or people do. And he said Canelo continues to take risks and take fights. And let me give the big shout out because I felt like I was just bashing Canelo in this fight. And let me give this man some respect. This dude is a beast, straight up beast. Not just because it's golden, the brass chin or whatever they want to call it, unbreakable chin. The way this open, probably almost 100 fights if you count amateurs, and to keep fighting at this level and still
Yeah.
keeping your wits and your health together, that is astronomical. And I cannot say anything negative about a guy that has everything and doesn't need to fight somebody, and you fight a guy who's undefeated, a guy you said earlier who was never given a chance. He talk shit about Bud Crawford about not fighting anybody, but anybody who knows anything about boxing knows it doesn't work that way. If you're not one of the chosen ones, you don't get the catchy fights. You don't get the big paydays. You get the scraps sometimes. And I think Bud has said several times, and the world doesn't like people who tell you the truth. Bud has said several times, well, you fought this guy. That was your best champion. And I dusted his ass. So now he's not good. But when you lined him up against me, he was a formidable fighter. But that's the way boxing works. And we talked about, like I said, I don't want to steal the night, but I'm just bringing this into light. We talked about this a lot with Boots. What they talk about is the fighter in control of who you fight, or is your promoter in control of who you fight? Because I mean, ultimately, yeah, if a fighter wants to say, yeah, I'm gonna fight this fight, but that's what you pay these guys for, to set up these things, the money, etc., the venue, and all that stuff, all that behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, Crawford wasn't given his dues up until, like you said, the Spence fight, which you were in attendance for. You got to feel that vibe. You got to see what that was like. And Crawford dusted his ass. Canelo didn't get knocked out, but Crawford dominated this fight. Unanimous decision. Everybody saw it the same way. And that was the point I almost forgot about. They mentioned that they was the same judges that were of the Pacquiao versus Barrios fight that we were in attendance for. So you saw they called a fair fight. They called it a draw on that. And they saw that Crawford dominated this fight, and they all were in consensus that he dominated this fight. So they're kind of off the hook now with me with all that, because a lot of people were like on the fence about that decision, but it was the same judges in that.
Yeah, I think it was two judges had it 116, 112, and then the one judge had it 115, 113, which that was a little closer for me.
That's
but
generous.
Yeah, it is generous for Canelo.
Generous.
But I mean, they got it right. You know, and that was like kind of in the back of my mind. I said, I said, pro-Mexican crowd. I said, Bud can't make this close. And he made sure he didn't. I mean, it was no doubt. You couldn't judge that no other way. He won.
Crawford is highly intelligent. Crawford is highly intelligent, and you just, like you said, you just pointed out the reason I was going to make a counterpoint to that. He knew to beat a champ, as we said with the Pacquiao Barrios. I said you cannot take a belt away from Barrios on a what did he possibly, or what if. He's got to dominate and beat him to take the belt from the guy. That's how you take a belt. It can't be no chance. You got to clearly won the fight. Crawford knows that. He knows he's behind. He's not the favorite. I'm sure Vegas was filled with the Mexicans. We were there and saw that with Barrios, and the Filipinos, Pacquiao. They come in full effect. He was the enemy so much in this fight because he's fighting a legend in Canelo. And he knew that he had to win this fight undoubtedly to not leave it into the judges' scorecard. For them to say that Canelo won this fight, it would have been undoubtedly a fix. It would have been no question. It would have been an uproar if he would have won. That would be a decision. And Canelo showed in his body language that he knew he didn't win that fight. You saw no pushback from anybody in that corner or by Canelo. They all knew he lost his fight. And I brought up that point up earlier. He fought in the pocket, in the box, fought outside the box, counterpunch, did everything in that fight. So there's no possible way that you can say that Crawford ran the whole fight, because he did everything in every aspect of this fight to win this fight.
Yep. He controlled it. He controlled all aspects of that fight. And so, I mean, masterful, man. I didn't think that he could pretty much top that Spence fight. And even though he knocked Spence out, of course, it's TKO win. This fight, even though with the distance, it was probably more dominant
than that one. Yeah, it was a clinic. This is a clinic,
right? Because of the level it was. I mean, bigger fight, of course, bigger person. The magnitude of the fight. 70,000 over 70,000 people in
That
attendance.
stadium was rocking, bro.
Ooh, that's a lot of people for
And,
boxing.
and you know how in the boxing they put the extra seats on the bottom, so you count
Yeah.
the stuff in the regular football stadium, plus the stuff that's on the ground
Yeah.
next to the ring.
Yeah. That's a lot, man. I'm curious to find out the TV numbers, and that I'm sure that's going to be ridiculous. So, this is a big event. This is a big event, man, and so like you said, I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about nothing down the line, but
yeah.
this fight right here tonight, hey, they did a good job with it, man. They did a good job. So happy with it, man. It's good for boxing. Great for boxing. We needed this fight. We needed this fight, man.
I know we're both really glad to see that they're still, well, probably not for much longer. God, Lord knows what it's going to look like afterwards, but you get to see still some of these guys still around, wanting to fight the best fights, wanting to give the people what they want to see, leaving no question with people who want to retire that were they as good as everyone says they were because whoever was on their resume. And I'm glad a lot of them announcers and stuff, they pointed that stuff out about that because for a long time, Crawford was never given the opportunity that Canelo has. There's a lot of inner workings about that. Me and Sully talk off air about that type of stuff, why those type of things happen. But Crawford did things his way, and he ended up being a Hall of Fame, and he's a Hall of Famer himself and cemented himself in boxing history for a long time with this win today.
There you go. Enough said. Enough said.
No final thoughts, Sully?
Hey, I think you just said it. I think you just said it all right there, brother.
Well,
You can't follow that up.
he said, "Can't follow that up." Well, then we'll end it as we always do. It ain't as hard as you can get hit. It ain't as hard as you can hit. It's as hard as you can get hit and keep going. I'm Blake Anthony. This is Sully, and this is Philly Fight World. We'll see you guys next time. Who knows what it'll bring? Because you always know there's something new and always something happening on Philly Fight World. So just tune in and wait. There's always more.
But wait, there's more.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yo, this is James Lights Out Tony, the one and only. You are tuning into Philly Fight World. You see me? Bam!